All right, this will be the last one on the characteristics of broadband networks, specifically, as I've said in the past or in the last video, that it's on scalability as well as network security. Now, scalability will refer to the ability of any broadband network, whether it's DSL, whether it's cable internet, whether it's fiber, or whether it's any wireless network, to grow as well as support an increasing number of users and high data demands. Now, what you're saying essentially is that um, scalability allows multiple users or supports many users. So as more devices are connected, as I've said in the very first video, that the billions of devices which the internet connects or links, that includes smartphones, it includes IoT devices, it includes laptops, it includes desktop computers, as well as vehicles or autonomous vehicles and so on. Now, a network should be able to um, support or handle increased traffic. It should be able to maintain performance as well as prevent congestion. Now, modern broadband networks actually use advanced routing in order to handle increased traffic. They use broad or load balancing as well as traffic shaping in order to prevent congestion or network congestion. They also use high capacity fiber infrastructure in order to maintain performance. Now, it also means that when it comes to scalability, it also means that we are essentially expanding the network capacity. Now, any scalable network actually uh, would allow uh, to add new users. It would allow or multiple users. Actually, it would allow upgrading equipment or networking equipment such as routers. I'm going to pronounce them as routers because that's what they actually pronounce. Routers as well as switches as well. They would allow expanding coverage area as well. Now, fiber networks in particular are said to be highly scalable simply because now they allow additional capacity to be added onto them because using technologies like, as I've said, go back to, there's a video which I speak about or explain wavelength division multiplexing. That's a technique for which allows multiple signals which have different wavelengths to all to travel all at the same time or simultaneously. So fiber networks actually use this technology in order to add capacity as well as upgrading or upgraded routers as well as switches, right? So scalability actually guarantees or ensures long-term sustainability of broadband networks, whether it's fiber, whether it's cable internet, whether it's DSL, or whether it's any wireless network. Could be cellular networks, your 4G, your 5G, and so on, satellite or fixed wireless access, any broadband network. That's the characteristic of scalability. Now, if we proceed on to security, now security would refer to the protection of data, not only data, but protecting um, devices as well as networks from mainly unauthorized access, from data breaches, as well as cyber attacks, right? So a broadband network, any broadband networks or all broadband networks must ensure three properties hold when it comes to security. And those properties would usually be confidentiality, integrity, as well as availability, right? So there are several security mechanisms for to protect broadband networks. And the first one that I'm going to deal with is actually firewalls. Now, a firewall is there to monitor incoming and ongoing traffic in the network, as well as block unauthorized access. Not only that, but also prevent malicious traffic onto the network. That's a firewall. That's what it's designed for. It's intended to block unauthorized access, as I've mentioned. Now there can be different types of firewalls. There can be hardware based firewalls, which are for network firewalls, as well as software based firewalls, which would be installed onto devices, right? Those are firewalls. So if I think of a firewall as a barrier between two types of network, between trusted networks as well as untrusted networks. So the firewall will act like The mathematical term would be a hyperplane, or the barrier, which separates the two, trusted and untrusted network. And it can be two types. Hardware, no, it's hardware based. What's this? Firewalls, as well as software based firewalls. They can be two types. Now, another security mechanism, virtual private networks. Now, a virtual private network, what it does, and it's actually used by businesses in order to secure remote work access and many other critical operations, right? So, a virtual private network actually creates a secure and encrypted tunnel, right? It hides IP addresses, it protects data transmission, as well as enhance privacy. Those are VPNs, or virtual private networks. Another security mechanism of these broadband networks would be encryption. Now, encryption is essentially converting data into some coded form, that so that only authorized parties can read that data or access that data. Now, there are many common encryption protocols, but we'll deal with them in the near future, right? But I will just mention the most basic ones, the most common ones, such as your SSL or TLS. Those would be the HTTPS protocols, as well as your Wi-Fi security, like WPA3, and the other protocol or encryption protocol would be IPsec, right? Those are the common encryption protocols for converting data into coded form. So what encryption does is that it guarantees that sensitive data, like passwords, it could be banking info, those sensitive data would always remain private. And it also ensures that data is actually not intercepted in transmission, right? So that's another security mechanism, encryption. The last security mechanism would actually be network monitoring. Now, continuous monitoring or proactive monitoring of a network actually helps detect things like cyber attacks, intrusions, as well as system failures, right? Those are the things that it helps detects. So you need to continuously monitor a network, and there are various tools of monitoring networks, like intrusion detection systems, as well as intrusion prevention systems. Not only that, but you also have security information and event management. That's SIEM, right? So those are your monitoring tools to proactively monitor a network in order to prevent major security breaches, right? So all in all that I've said regarding the characteristics of broadband networks are characterized by six major characteristics, right? And as I've said in the past, they are high data rates. The high data rates are for fast data transmission, which are usually measured in Mbps and Gbps, right? Another characteristics of characterizing broadband networks is low latency. That's the minimal delay in data transmission, right? The third characteristics would be reliability, right? That would refer to the stable connection of a broadband network with redundant systems. And I've mentioned the redundant systems in the previous video. Go check that video out. The fourth characteristic is actually bandwidth. Bandwidth was introduced in the second video on broadband width, right? So bandwidth is the capacity, to transmit large or big data, large volumes of data over a communication network, right? And after that, you have scalability, which is the ability of of a broadband network to expand and support increasing demand. And the final characteristic, which I've just looked at now, was security. That would be protecting networks or broadband networks from cyber threats as well as data breaches. See you next time. Thank you.